This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Thursday, March the 2nd, 2023. We're so glad you could join us. Coming up a little later in the program, I talk with Ashley McDonald of the National Pork Board. We'll also take a look at that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're at the end of another trading day for this Thursday, and we're turning over to Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Kaden, what did we see in those grain markets today?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more of a tempered market than we've seen the rest of the week. Still a little bit of action nonetheless. To start off with, a little bit disappointed with the way the core market performed today. You know, after we traded lower yesterday, closed higher. Was kind of hoping to see that run extended. We're going to close about 2 cents lower today. So not the end of the world, but would have liked to see that one turn green. Beans, on the other hand, continued their impressive rebound up about 15 cents or so. So overall in the week, May corn down 15 cents, May beans down 8 cents. But yeah, it's been an interesting week for sure.
Now, as you said, it's maybe even tempered for this week, but this whole week seems to have been tempered compared to what we kind of got used to over the last months or more, you know, with the fact that there was so much volatility. But it's been relatively quiet. I mean, there's a few things we're watching, but nothing really swaying us too far one way or the other.
Yeah, it just seemed like about a week ago, Thursday, we kind of saw the funds hit the switch, start with the corn market, say, hey, you know, we're going to start exiting this thing. And, you know, corn fell, you know, at one point almost 60 cents off the high. So, you know, we've clawed back some of that. Bean market, I thought, was kind of starting to trend that way on Tuesday. You know, we've rebounded impressively since then. I still think we're a little bit susceptible. If you're a producer, I think you still want to be a little bit careful here, protecting $15 beans just in case. You know, we kind of see the same thing that happened in the corn market follow through to the bean market.
Now, of course, we got export numbers here again today. I mean, we haven't really heard anything major since mid last month. I mean, what was the story on those reports?
Yeah, the export sales today were pretty poor. Corn around like 500,000 metric tons, which is on the low end of expectations. Beans also on the low end. I think I actually saw that the bean sales today were a marketing year low, which you don't want to see, but I guess it's a little bit to be as expected as Brazil's coming online, you know, China and the rest of the world kind of switching over to buying Brazil beans here. But we really want to see the corn export program pick up. There were rumors of China buying some corn yesterday. Those did not come through today on the morning wire. So remains to be seen, but hopefully this sell-off will kind of encourage some more business out of them.
Talking to some cattle producers earlier this week, they were making the comment that, yeah, they, as much as they want to see people make money on corn, it's getting expensive for them to feed their cattle corn. I mean, what's kind of the situation, how that kind of flops out for them, you know, that are looking to buy corn right now?
No, I think you're exactly right. I think that's kind of why you've seen so much strength in the cattle market here, you know, in the last week, and both down a little bit today. But really, yeah, I agree with you. I think $7 corn probably pretty expensive for cattle feeders. You kind of want to see some demand come back in as we get down here to the lower sixes. So hopefully, you know, that's kind of why I feel like why I think old crop corn should stay fairly well supported at 6, just because, you know, I think there's still some demand there to be bought, I guess, if you will, if we stay at these lower prices. So, you know, the 7 figure may be a little bit far away right now, but I think we should stay in the 6s.
All right, now, being you brought up the cattle markets didn't have too good a day. I mean, how did they fare, and how did hogs go out today as well?
Yeah, so fat cattle down on the day about $1 or so. Looks like we're trading around 164 here, and nothing too major there. Both sides of the cattle market pretty quiet today. Feeders actually had an inside bar, closing really close to even at 193.85. So the bigger story in the livestock market is hogs. Had a pretty major reversal today, traded higher early in the session and going to close lower than we traded yesterday, down $1.20 or so at 83.80. So that's the story as far as livestock complex goes, is weakness in the hogs. Kind of feel like I've been saying that for a month now after, you know, we had a nice rebound, you know, last week or two, but back lower again today.
So what was the cause of that? You saw that nice jump higher and then all of a sudden to lose $1.20 on the day. What kind of happened there?
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest with you, off the top of my head. I don't know how much of it, money kind of flowing in and out like we've seen in the core market funds playing. To me, the hog market is just as much a technical and a money managed game as it is a fundamental game. So, I think it gets to the point where you kind of get these fund managers tired of selling, ready to buy, and then, they kind of got you hooked and we're going to sell back down again. But unless something's out of the loop, I haven't seen anything major fundamentally wise. I kind of think it's more money flow and just price action things that you're seeing today.
Well, there's a lot of what ifs. We're hoping they're going to get answered here in the next couple of weeks or so once we get planning intentions. I mean, if folks haven't got much of a plan, or maybe want to think about tweaking their marketing plan, what can they do, and how can they get in touch with agmarket.net?
Yep. Just go to our website, agmarket.net. You can reach any of our brokers there. Anybody here can help you out. And first of all, get you started on a free trial of our research just to see if you're interested. After that, like you said, there's plenty we can do. It's still early enough in the marketing year. We still have new crop corn over $5.50, new crop beans over $13.50. We were at good prices. We're profitable. Let's work on locking that in.
All right, Kaden. Well, we thank you so much for the insight, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
That again was Kaden Sweeney of agmarket.net. Let's run down the closing numbers. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. May corn was down 2 at 6.33 3/4. December new crop up 1 1/4 at 5.70 1/2. May soybeans up 15 at 15.09 1/4. November new crop up 8 1/2. That's at 13.67 1/2. May soy meal up $2 at 4.7230. Soy oil up $1.07 at 61.90. Chicago wheat up 2 3/4 at 7.12 3/4. Minneapolis up 12 3/4 at 8.76 1/4. Kansas wheat up 9 3/4 at 8.26 even. May oats down 2 at 33 1/2. On the Merc, April live cattle down $1.02 at 164.10. April feeders unchanged at 193.85. April lean hogs $1.10 lower at 83.85. Pork cutouts $1.07 lower at 98.40. And Class 3 milk down 9 cents at 17.66. And that's been our Ag Market Recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, Ashley McDonald of the National Pork Board will join me. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, when it comes to the pork industry, producers are always doing everything they can to make sure that they are showing sustainable practices, safe practices, and healthy practices. We had a chance to talk with Ashley McDonald of the National Pork Board a couple of weeks ago, and here's what she had to talk about what's going on in the industry. We're talking right now with Ashley McDonald with the National Pork Board. Ashley, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to be talking kind of sustainability, things like that. Obviously, that's the word everybody's throwing around, but what does it mean when we're talking about the pork industry?
Yeah, well, pork producers, as you know, have been working on sustainability for generations. But even going back 15 years ago, pork producers created the We Care platform, which includes 6 ethical principles and practices. And now we're really to the point of providing that proof point, because we know ultimately sustainability is about gaining public trust and increasing trust in our product. And so we want to be able to answer the questions that they do have around how that animal was raised and why we do the things that we do. And so that's what it's all about. And we want to also show, with that proof, we want to show that continuous improvement story over time.
All right, so tell us a bit about that information you're able to take from the We Care program and how those trends you guys are putting, those practices you're using, how you're able to relate that to the consumer so they understand, because they have a right to know what we're doing. So how do we assuage any fears they have and show them what we're doing to further better?
Yeah, well, we have a couple programs under the We Care platform, one of which is the We Care Farm Reports, which gives producers an individual sustainability report for their operation, and their checkoff dollars have been invested in it. So it's really just a matter at this point of leveraging the program that already exists, and they would get their report back. And that talks about things like carbon sequestration that the world is asking about. It talks about greenhouse gas emissions, and it talks about their erosion rate and how much money they saved through the utilization of their manure. So there's a lot of important points. They can leverage that to market their own product in different ways, talk to their lenders and landowners, etc. But at an industry level, you can probably see where I'm going at the value of that kind of aggregated information. If we can have our industry represented in that program broadly, we can take that information aggregated and really tell and share the story of U.S. pork production, not only to our consumers and our stakeholders here domestically, but we can tell it around the world, and that's really valuable. And when I say almost invaluable, except we can't put a dollar on it, we do know that we can utilize this kind of information and leverage that with international marketing efforts around the world, and ultimately it comes back to the bottom line of all U.S. pork producers.
Are you seeing a wide understanding now with that kind of information that you're able to base and show them? Because, you talked about a whole host of concerns. Manure usage and obviously the nitrates that puts into the ground. You talk about all sorts of things that are covered under We Care. Are you seeing a good understanding from these people that are asking these questions?
Yeah, I think we are seeing a paradigm shift really in understanding something like manure, for example, as you mentioned. Understanding that manure is not a liability, it's not a waste, it's actually an extremely valuable asset now more than ever. And so I think we are seeing that recognition throughout agriculture, throughout all stakeholders, that this is an organic nutrient source that ultimately builds the soil structure. It holds on to nutrients better. It infiltrates, holds on to water better. There's a ton of benefit, and soil health is a big thing that's talked about even on the international stage. I just came back actually from COP27 in Egypt, and whenever food was discussed and nutrition, they did talk about soil health, and so being able to share that story in a very quantifiable, scientific way, I know goes a very long way with assuaging, misperceptions and negative opinions about ultimately when they step up to the meat case and they want to purchase a piece of meat, now pork looks good and feels good to them when they eat it. And again, that's what we want to do. We want to make people feel good and have trust in our ultimate product.
Another thing we talked about before we started recording, you mentioned some grant dollars that were made available. Tell us a bit about how that was gotten and how it works.
Yeah, so really at the heart of this program, we have the We Care Farm reports again, as I mentioned, and what we have invested in is those baseline reports for producers. Well, now we have applied for and received from USDA the Climate Smart Commodities Partnership dollars to basically utilize and pair the investment of pork checkoff dollars with federal dollars, as well as dollars from some of our retail partners, to be able to pay for practice implementation costs for producers. So we're not just asking for the continuous improvement efforts by producers. Now we're hopefully helping to ease the financial burden of taking those next steps as well. So we provide the report as well as now being able to provide the implementation costs for those practices.
All right, so producers out there want to find out more information, maybe figure out how they can share their information. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, I'd encourage every U.S. pork producer to start this process and go to porkcheckoff.org/sustainability and sign up for your on-farm sustainability report.
All right, Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
Thank you.
That again was Ashley McDonald of the National Pork Board. And now let's take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, it's been cloudy, maybe just a few peaks of sunshine here, bright cloudy skies, you should say, here in Des Moines. And that's been pretty well par for the course around much of the state. You might be seeing a little more sun than other places. Check local listings for that. But how long is it going to last? Well, let's find out from the National Weather Service. Well, we had plenty of cloud cover here in central Iowa, just a few peaks here and there of sunshine, and that was pretty well par for the course around much of the state. We saw highs today anywhere from the upper 30s to the low 40s. Now tonight, there'll be variably cloudy skies. You'll see more breaks in the clouds out to the west, possibility of some flurries up in the northeast, and we're going to see lows tonight mid-20s to low 30s. Then tomorrow, clouds will begin to decrease off to the west, but snow likely yet in the east before that all clears up, and we're going to see temperatures tomorrow anywhere between 41 and 51 degrees. Taking a look at the affiliate weather map, tomorrow Cherokee should see mostly sunny skies in 41. Shenandoah partly sunny, but that cloud will dissipate and we'll see a high of 51. Mostly cloudy, partly sunny, depending on your philosophical leading in Des Moines, and they'll be 46. Waterloo, partly sunny, but a chance of snow in 41. Albany, a chance of snow in 42. And Clinton, a chance of snow and 37 degrees. For more detailed forecasts in your area, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been our Ag Weather Outlook. And with that, we're at the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and on our YouTube channel. While you're there, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we put out a video project. You can also check out our free Twice Daily Market podcast coming to you from Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Mark Magnuson and Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.